Today I'm trying out Autodesk Sketchbook on the PC. Hi everyone, Steve Elliott here again. I thought I was so impressed with Autodesk on the iPad, I thought I'd give it a go on the PC because it's a free piece of software now, so why not? And I thought I would really push it a bit, not do just a sketch, but try and do a proper painting. So this is a painting of a really good mate of mine. I've known him for years and years. We've been in bands together. We do some recordings. In fact, the recording at the beginning of the video was us playing an old blues song that we also did in a rock band that we was in for a while called the Canine Gonads. I will put a link to that below so you can see what I've been doing musically. That band we disbanded about 6 months ago, but no fallout or anything like that. We just thought, okay, we've done that now, let's move on. We've all got different projects to do, and mine's obviously working on the paintings, but we do have a lot of fun and we still get together and jam a lot and mess about and do some own recording. So that is what this painting is about. This is a picture of Kev, and he's got his guitar there, battered up old Strat, and he's doing a bit of sound balancing. And the recording that you heard is something that we actually recorded in my lounge on this home recording equipment. So that's the background to the painting. I don't know what I was doing with the face there. I just sort of blobbed on some what I thought was roughly the right shape, and it clearly wasn't, because when I paint this, I mean at this point it looks a bit like a bulldog, I'm suggesting. So clearly not a good look at all, and something that needed sorting out. And look, it looked even more like a bulldog now. So it took me quite a while. I spent the old painting took roughly about 2 hours, and most of it was spent trying to get his face right, but I think I did a reasonable job in the end. Anyway, the Autodesk Sketchbook software, or app as we call it these days, really impressed. There's a massive selection of brushes. You are able to create your own palette, or not palette, toolbox I guess, and put the brushes in it, which you can see on the left hand side. I made a custom toolbox, and I went through testing pretty much every single brush and just put together a collection of brushes that I thought I could use to do watercolour paintings and oil paintings. So I'll probably do another video in watercolour. Let me know if you think that's a good idea, or if you've seen enough of Autodesk. I'm also thinking of doing one on the on an Android app for mobile devices as well, because I've got it on there, so I thought I'd give it a blast for that. Really impressed. There's loads of tools. You've got sort of symmetry tools and text that you can put on. Cutting, cropping and moving is really, really easy. Layers is easy to manage. You've got all of the blending modes in there. So lots of things that are really, really good about it. But there's just one thing, no, two things that I found really that let it down. And one was, and this might be me, because I only spent an hour on this before I did the painting. I just sort of loaded it up, went through all the brushes, put them in that palette, and then I started painting. But I couldn't find a way to create my own colour palettes. So as you know, I like to create a palette before I start, so I sort of know what sort of colour scheme I'm working in. And I couldn't do that, so I actually used the colours that were in the palette provided for this painting pretty much. And I think it worked quite well, but I couldn't find anywhere or any way to do that. But it might be me. So if you know a way of how to create palettes, if you could drop that in the comments, that would be great. And the other thing is, I couldn't find how to make a paint that changed the opacity of a paintbrush. You've got lots and lots of things to adjust, controls that you can tweak and make your brush just custom for you, including loading in new textures and things. But I didn't see anything where I could just drop the opacity down, which I thought was a bit strange. But again, it might just be me. So apart from those two things, I couldn't fault the app. It was superb. The brushes, if you made them really, really big, it did lag a bit. But this is a big painting. It's 24 inches by 16 by 300 dpi. So I did sort of push it. I thought I'm going to go for a sort of pretty much full-size painting for this one. And it worked really well. Now here I sort of thought I'm going to do something a bit radical, and I created a layer behind the painting a Kev, and I just crashed some colours in. I wanted to get the light coming through the window because, as you know, I'm into the light thing when I'm painting. So I went for it. I created a multiply layer to put some darker tones in there, and you see I sort of darkened the side of his face up to add a bit of shadow to give the impression that it was the light was coming through. Then I took it out. I do put it back in again in a bit. Tweaked his head. I thought he got a funny shaped head. So lots of tweaking going on all the time, and I really, really like what I did with the colour. Just really going for it, throwing caution to the wind. Of course, that's easy to do when you're doing digital because you can take it out and change it as much as you like. So that's not a real issue. It's great to be able to experiment, and I love the sort of big bold brush marks that I put in there, and I think it made a nice painting. This is painted in my style, obviously. Really loose, probably even more loose than I have done in the past. I think the influence of studying the masters and other great not other great artists, I'm not saying I'm a great artist, great artists has certainly helped me a lot and has made me more confident in putting brush strokes on. And reading, actually doing the reading bits helped me as well, because you learn how much they experimented and weren't afraid to try things out. So that sort of inspired me to be more adventurous as well. The app, I have to say, getting back to the app, the tools, the brushes, that I like the way they're set out. They do have some sort of funny names, like synthetic set of brushes. I don't know what it meant by that. Does it mean like that all the brushes are supposed to be imitating nylon brushes, or what? I didn't find anything that there was like oil brushes or watercolour brushes. It just appeared that the artist brushes seemed to be more appropriate for watercolour, and the synthetics work well for oils. And once I was able to make my palette and put them all in there with a couple of erasers, some softeners, that's the point. I discovered that all of the brushes that had white bristles on were actually blenders. So that was nice. It was easy to identify the blending brushes. And I arranged the brushes in my palette, going from sort of being able to paint fine detail with them through to just sort of putting feathery, whispery strokes on. So it made it really easy to pick the brushes I want. So really, really cool app. It felt like a professional app. It didn't feel like a freebie. It did feel like a top end app, apart from those two things that I mentioned. But as I say, this is a tryout. It's not a review or anything like that, because I'm just scratching it from the point of view of wanting to paint in a natural style. You know, I know you can do a lot more with it. You can do technical drawings for sort of room layouts and stuff like that. But just for me, I'm just trying it out for my needs. So I'm not criticising it at all, and I think it's a great app. So that is pretty much it. I've got to the end of the video. I hope you like this one. I really enjoyed painting it. Kevin's a great guy. He's really funny. We have a blast together. And to paint a picture of doing the recordings was really good fun. So hopefully I'll see you in the next one. And I should say, if you like this video, please give me a big thumbs up. It's much appreciated. Helps me out a lot as always. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. I have lots of videos like this and I would love to be sharing them with you. So hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Yeah!